Interestiana pint?
Be good.
How are you? What's your name?
light be with you.
What's on your mind? Be good. Great to meet ya.
Watch your back. How are you? Keep your feet on the ground.
What can I do for you? See you soon.
Great to meet you. What's on your mind? Up with you.
What can I do for you?
Be good. Here there. Up with you. Interest you on a pint? Watch your back.
So strong in the big game, so in order to win this one, you're going to have to get this Xayah late game online. We'll see if he can pull it off.
Well, that's a really sick knock-up, as Violet is going to get a couple of shots in, but mostly into shields. So JoJo's starting us off very nicely down in the bottom side. Some level 1 shenanigans. We'll see who does hit level 2 first here. Of course, Violet with the Calibrim will have the range advantage and be very annoying, like how he's abusing that range advantage for now. And of course, we're going to have this camera up in the top lane, I would assume, a lot of times, as long as there's any amount of action up here. Interesting to see this matchup, the Yone into the Poppy. Definitely not one that we see very often, if at all, here in Professional League of Legends.
Definitely rare to see. Poppy's return to pro play somewhat recently. It was kind of a rarity in usually the support role, especially here in the LCK. And to see it in the top lane once again, it's just such a formidable tank, a lot of engagement opportunities, so difficult to deal with that front line. when it comes crashing into you with an Aatrox, it means that Bobbit has so many angles. He can take so many free ways to get in there and get that sleep off. And I'm really worried for Red Canids taking some of these big game fights, because in terms of ultimates to steal here too, as the Sylas, there's not a whole lot you feel like you're going to get insane value out of, especially in these early scrappy fights.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Solar Flare, you've got like World Ender, there are a couple, but definitely will be struggling to find multiple. And you just consider like what this Poppy's role will be. I mean, he could even just sit on top of the Aphelios and say, and just laugh at the enemy team. I mean, there's 4 melee champions that have dashes on the side of Red Canids. I mean, that's the one thing. And then you got the 80 carry, who doesn't have the longest range in the world? It's Zaya. Like, if Violet is not in the front line getting charmed up, then I think he should be in a really fantastic spot and very well protected. So that front line you were talking about, Wolf, I think it's just going to be so comfortable here for the side of Violet. Now, it is going to have to come down to execution, right? They're going to have to group up as 5. They're going to have to get the Steadfast present at the exact right time. There is still really almost instant engage from the side of Red Canids. And speaking of which, there's going to be one as flash for flash, and Red Canids will enjoy that.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice pickup there. Have a lot more threat on this Aphelios. Vizichachi going to come over here and try to put a little hurt onto that ability to get the scuttle here for Aegis, but Aegis is not getting away. But he is putting a lot of pressure on the Yone now on the top side of the map. As you can see, there's a lot of control there. The bot pressure that you see against this Aphelios isn't insignificant. It's not insignificant, but it's not that impactful yet. As we're going to see a re-engage.
Now they're getting on in there. Violet is going to dodge the knockup, but the feathers are pulled back. Titan takes a lot of damage. The Ignite, though, onto Violet. The Ignite as well onto Titan. And Aladoric will be able to push it forward for the first blood. Perfectly played around the engage range there by Violet, and they get just enough damage to stop it.
Jojo gonna have to stop his back here temporarily as well and sit under this turret, but this is part of the reason why he might have a little bit more action here, but part of the reason why, you know, Leona ends up being kind of a counter pick for Rakan, because it's so easy to re-engage when the attack comes through. And this is what I was saying, it's not insignificant they have this push and this pressure on Violet, but he's still CSing very well on your turret, so they try to push the issue even further here. Look at Aladoric, he's already on the back side of this fight. It's a turret shot that goes through, and if you can't finish Violet off in that first moment, it's not going to go well for you, obviously, against this extremely tanky Leona.
Violet, it was like he was figure skating or something. Like, you know, he's got his guns out, he's doing a lot of damage, and he just sidesteps perfectly away from the grand entrance, and it just laughs at the Rakan. Leona is able to finish the job. So really nicely played down there. We are getting a great look at this top lane as, okay, Vizichachi really trying to press the issue here. Probably didn't have to do that, especially without level 6, but you can tell, as you said, Wolf, he's trying to make a statement in this game, not only with this pick, but with this play. As it does look like Red Canids, though, will be able to pick up the Infernal Drink.
Yeah, with the position on that wave on the bottom side, there's just nothing that Violet can do to rotate over. They have enough priority there to make it happen. Vizichachi not, I mean, neither of the top players are in here, and so you can take that one away essentially for free, despite the mid-pressure there that Tally had. Speaking of Tally, no vision here for a long ways up. By the time he shows, Leo is going to have to react, and I think Vizichachi didn't sell that one well enough. It became a little bit obvious walking through the minions by the time he got to the ward. Already, Gigo was out of there. Still had flash, only used his ultimate in that last exchange to get out.
That's really the thing. Wasn't really a lot of kill pressure on the side of Vizichachi when he did go for the flash to stop the ultimate, as now here is Bobbip, and he is on the hunt. As the teleports will be coming in, one apiece. Vizichachi pretty low, though. You can see Grefthar still going to respect it as the World Ender is stolen here. He just trying to make his way in, gonna dodge that Poppy ultimate, but the damage, it buys enough time to get down the Sylas, as Grefthar will not be able to escape, and Bobbip is just prancing around this rift and will set up a kill.
Yeah, that was such a massive flash there from Tally to get them in and on top. And when you watch these plays happen from Peace, their macro sense is so good, knowing, tracking this placement there of Gigo in the lane is,
Oh, man.
we're not done yet.
Sleep comes down. It seems like they did not expect Tally, but they absolutely destroy him behind the turret, and Gigo in a little bit of trouble, too. He's going to get the knock-up. Tally takes a lot of damage here.
No minions.
Yeah, and Gigo will actually live to tell the tale, 1v3.
Meanwhile,
Just a huge trade down in the bottom side. You see Titan has to back away. He hits the Q with the Calibrum, and he has to flash away. What is going on here? Violet and Talladoric doing a fantastic job. We'll win another trade in the bottom.
they will win the trade here. Titan survives just barely with his ultimate there and the flash, but doesn't change the fact that Violet is going to be able to push this in for free. He's got the Crescendum out right now. This means JoJo is going to have to stick around. But the teleport here that comes through from Tally is just so fantastic. You can see it's matching, of course, the teleport coming through from Revthar. But with an Aatrox at this stage of the game, this is what I was talking about. The mid-game power that Peace's composition has with this Aatrox with the Poppy is just so insane.
Yeah.
And he flashes in, gets on top there, and they're able to almost turn this into a double. Gigo just barely survives, but they get so much control. And it's not just here on the top side. Obviously, as we talked about on the bottom side, that push was coming through there as well. They almost get a kill there. It's going to cost a lot of farm to Titan. You can see he's falling a little bit behind now, trying to clean some of that up. But Peace just having such a great sense of the macro game. And Red Cannons, we know that when they're behind at this stage in the game, catching up is just so difficult for them, especially with this composition. I think it's going to be even harder.
That's the thing. I mean, we were already singing the praises of Peace just with the draft. And so far, I mean, the game has not gone much differently, as Tally is in a bit of trouble here. As now he's trying to turn it around, though, with the World Ender. He is just sustaining through all the damage. It was only Grefthar, and especially when Bobbin shows up, who is, by the way, 2-0. As it looks like Vizichachi did get ganked, though, so Red Cannons were able to find some value, at least, up on the top side.
Yeah, they were able to identify that with Bobbin coming down to the bottom side there was going to be a juicy opportunity there in the top lane, as Vizichachi's not that tanky just yet, but still, it's a kill for a kill while Tally picks up plates here, and it's a lot of extra gold going over to Bobbin. And we've seen this happen time and time again with Bobbin, historically speaking, on these AP jungle champions. He gets a lead, he starts to snowball the game, ends up getting great engages, whether it's the Nidalee Spears or it's the Qs coming through here on the Nidalee to set up for those sleeps, or excuse me, the Lilia to set up for those sleeps. It's really, really not the player you want to get fed. He's already got 5 stacks of the Dark Sealers. This is not a Rift Herald you want to contest alone.
He is just going to get stunned 100-0. No escape for him, as he was desperately just trying to get any vision possible. He was the first in, and he'll be the last in, as that will be basically a free one, as Talladoric was up there, so they're going to go for the dive underneath this one, but Violet is just standing up to them with the Severum, says no thank you, and just like that, we'll pick up the 1v1. JoJo had to leave early, and the sustain was just too much. Violet picks up a kill.
And he's got the Severum, so he can just sustain right back, as you mentioned. It's so insanely good for him. And I hate to say it, but for Red Cannons, there's not a whole lot of good news right now. And Peace have such dominant control of the map. We don't usually call games over at this stage of League of Legends and professional play, especially not in play-ins. But right now, I don't see a way back in.
Hey, the steadfast presence is in. It's early. Gigo is pretty low, but Grefthar should be able to finish the job. But no, Flash does come through.
Chains miss.
Vizichachi will be able to get away from those chains. So, yes, I mean, Red Cannons are finding some value against Vizichachi, the Poppy, the tank. But that's nothing compared to what we're seeing here. Now we're going to see even more as the Rift Herald is coming down in the mid lane. Going to take down this mid turret first, as we are going to have a bit of a fight. Red Cannons are desperately trying to stop this turret from going down. I suppose at least they will stop that, but Peace, they're basically taking all the objectives and whatever they want at this point.
Yeah, now, taking the Drake on top of it all might be a bridge too far, considering everyone is nearby in the mid lane, and Titan has control of the bottom wave, but they can try to turn this into a forced fight. Silas already used his flash. That was cute, indeed.
Didn't mount too much, but you see a bit of a fight. He's going back and forth. Players are angry, trying to get something going.
I mean, you just can't compete with an Aatrox at this stage of the game, who's starting to come online, doesn't really even have big items. We'll, of course, get that first one in just a moment in the board ring here. but
he is gigantic.
he's about to cash in the checks, and you can't take a fight against him. You lost your flashes, Griftar. So not only can you not defend that last bit of health on your mid turret, but you can't stop the Drake either. This is one of those games where everything that happens from this moment on, barring a huge miracle comeback for Red Cannons, you just have to excuse because you're playing with one hand tied behind your back.
Yeah, certainly does feel that way. And Visitachi is just enjoying a fine time up in the top side. He's down 20 CS, doesn't seem to care all too much. Just buying those tank items. And he'll be doing his job, like I said before, you know, even if he falls behind, like the Yone might be a bit of a problem, but as long as he executes in team fights and he uses his steadfast presence at the exact right time, he should be in a good spot here.
Violet will pick up the MasterCard Mythic purchase of that Gale Force for some extra mobility against the Sylas, the Lisa, and the Yone, right? I mean, there's still a lot of ways things can go wrong if you don't have that ability to reposition, so just a little bit of extra safety here. It's not about the survivability like you would with an Immortal Shield Boat. In this particular case, it's just about not getting caught by that CC.
All right, well now everybody's trying to get on top of Tally, but look at this, they don't quite have the damage to kill the Aatrox. Finally, they come in. Ego as well from the left actually gets some damage down as Visitachi is here with the steadfast presence, going to deny a lot. The knock up here on the JoJo, but there's the knock up from JoJo onto Aladoric. They nearly take him down. The stopwatch is used. Now Visitachi not in the best spot. He gets the stun up against the wall, but that will be about it, and Red Cannons strike back.
Very big overextension here from the side of Peace. This was a 4v5 fight as Violet stayed in the bottom lane the entire time. Now he is going to get some extra value right before the plate falls. So that's a nice pickup there of 160 extra gold. But you are giving a big turn, a big flip of gold back to Red Cannons. They're still significantly behind. You're going to need more than just a single one of these to get back into the game. But this happens twice. You have another mistake as Peace out in the lane. Overextend, commit to a fight. And you might actually have a comeback on your hand.
Well, we're going to take a look here at the new Axe Effect replay as we do see that Tally. He just gets jumped upon. I mean, it's 3v1 for the longest time, and even Ego comes in from the left.
Yeah, and you could see that, unfortunately, Aladoric is super deep, trying to get a lot of that vision on the blue side. So he comes back in, they try to turn this fight around, and yes, they do get the pick there onto the Lee Sin, but there's no way out against this composition that has so much lockdown and so much CC. So you're ahead, you feel like I've got an opportunity to collapse with the Leona coming through, but it ends up being Peace biting off more than they could chew here, and the 1-for-3 is not what you want.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, Peace are still in a good spot, but a little bit of a bump along the way. We'll see how they can go from here. They took down that mid-tier 1 so early on that you would imagine these next objectives that are coming up here should be in their control, but Red Cannons got that early Infernal Drake. That was like the one good thing that they had from the early game. And we'll see if maybe, you know, off the back of that last team fight, can they get some momentum and maybe fight for the second Rift Herald? We'll have to wait and see, as it feels like Peace are trying to lock it down and try not to make any more mistakes.
Peace are just trying to control vision so hard right now around this Rift Herald pit. I mean, they're putting down deep control wards here. Visitachi pushing hard. And Bob's at the point in this game where he can absolutely turn a skirmish into his favor.
They're just going in. I mean, Visitachi is running underneath the turret because he has so much support up here on the top side. 3 members as well as Violet running through the river.
They are giving away that bottom turret for free here, so need to either get out or commit. Can't happy feet here for too long. They're find themselves falling behind.
They're going to use the sleep there onto JoJo, but, you know, at most it gives them a lot of space. That's the one thing it does, you know, it looks kind of silly, but it actually pushes the enemy team really far back because the Rakan has to run away so far. So it does open up this top turret a little bit sooner for Peace.
Now the question is, can they collapse and kill Grefthar? Because he's going all in on this. He's not just going to be happy with the 1 turret. He's going for a second here as well. Continuing to push this through. Tally's going to catch the wave in mid. And it's not just the turret they get on the top side for that Sylas pressure. It's going to be the top turret plus that deep vision that we were talking about and the second Rift Herald. So there's a lot being gained here. And they will force the Sylas out. So Grefthar has to retreat. They're looking for a pick on a Tally, but he's not having it.
Yeah, he's level 12, and, you know, he's got his boots. He's just kind of running away from everything. Stays in the right side, or the left side, rather, of the lane where he has vision, so he knows that even if they come from the right, he's totally fine. Probably should have known that they were there as well. as Red Cannons are going to go for this Dragon, and Peace are a little bit slow to collapse on in here. You would imagine at this point in the game with their lead, they would like to collapse on this one. As Vizitachi is taking a ton of damage, and that will be the blue team Red Cannons taking down the Dragon, but it is chaos in the Dragon pit here. Gigo's going to be the first to fall as Griftar is getting in there trying to frontline, and Vizitachi is still alive, by the way. Huge damage from the Zaya, though, in the team fight, as that is short-lived. Just frontlining a little bit too much there was Titan. Still has his ultimate and is not able to use it on time, and Peace are continuing to collapse. As here comes Tally, he is gigantic on this Aatrox. He'll take down one, and you gotta imagine they're looking for more. Aegis not in a very fun spot, and with the Gravitum, they are looking for it here.
I mean, he's not healthy enough to look for the fight. He wants to trade one back. There's a
the
teleport.
teleport. I'm not sure about that. Okay, he's going to get the one kill, and the Triumph comes through.
Out.
Look at that. The Lee Sin escape plays coming back.
Hey, Gore Drinker.
Tally, he's not in a good spot. He will be taken down.
The battle of the Gore Drinkers. Gore Drinkers are a pretty good item, Valdez, and it's going to help him stay alive. He survives there in what looked like a fantastic exchange for Peace. I mean, I was already kind of getting ready to say, well, I mean, they got the Drake, but what did it cost? What was the trade back that you get as Peace? All that extra gold. But Red Cans actually do really flip this on its head with some really effective plays there from Aegis. But the same problems still stand here for Red Cans. They didn't win the fight on the objective in this mid-game, and that's because Aatrox is so strong at these types of fights, these types of skirmishes. And pair that with Aurelia, it's going to be difficult to deal with. And it doesn't get easier because they still have this extremely tanky Poppy to fall back on. That's going to help set up this very quickly becoming a powerhouse Aphelios later on in the late game. So as Red Cannons, you really need to start taking permanent control over the map. You can't be trading kills like this at best case. You need to be doing more. You need to be controlling the vision. And that's what they're going to try to do, wrestling that top vision here away.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you're kind of highlighting, I think eventually in this game it might just become a battle of the 80 carries. As Violet, he's going to have a ton of protection, but Titan he's keeping up, you know, and a lot of these plays are going decently in the mid-game as now they're trying to turn this one around. Our Peace maybe going a little bit too deep. Are the Red Cannons as the sleep comes in and the teleports are there, as he will be able to take down the support JoJo on the side of the Red Cannons.
A really nice turn there from Peace to get that pick onto JoJo, and they're not done with this just yet. They're going to drop the Rift Herald down here mid. That's going to be a lot of potential inter-turret gold coming through. Vivitachi can go back to the top side now and clean that up. And at this stage, Red Cannons, again, they're looking for these aggressive picks, but we're not really seeing Gigo actually connect with his ultimate. If you end up getting 2 or 3 players, or if you get the squishy backline with that Yone ult, you're going to feel great. You can get a pick, you can look for a 5v4 fight, but these just keep going wide, and they double down on the play to see, okay, we've got everybody grouped up here. Maybe we can get a pick, but it's once again the Leona who's caught. How many times have we seen this happen in the play-in stage? Leona gets caught, then just turns around, she's almost full health, and they actually stick around too long. And once the teleport comes through, JoJo is caught and picked.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna go for that Lilia, you got to know that she's got flash. As here we go, the Battle of the World Enders is gonna come through. As I think Tally just a bit more fed than you, Griftar. You're gonna have to run away as we do have Predator Lilia breathing down his neck as well, and that will be the kill going over to Bobbitt once again.
Yep, he just going to hang around the bottom side. This time not going to be as opportunistic as he was the last time with those low health bars. Gil getting a lot of free push done here on the top side of the map. The rotation coming through a little bit slow. No teleports up right now on the side of Peace, so he can actually get away with this. Or can he?
That is the question. The slow rotation coming up to the top side. Vizitachi, the Poppy, really able to keep him around, and Ego is not having any of it. He wants to go for the fight, but here comes the rotation. There's the ultimate onto Violet. Ton of damage. This Yone is kind of going crazy, but he will get stunned down right at the last moment and allow Violet to pick up yet another kill.
On the bottom side of the map, there was a lot of, there was a little bit of an almost skirmish around that Dragon Vision, but Tally doesn't have to take that fight. He's able to hold his own. They can't commit onto him because he's Aatrox. And Aatrox who now has the Gore Drinker and the Sterak. So even though you have 3 players committing to kill 1 on the top side of the map, the timing of this for Red Cans is so unfortunate because there's no objective you can get elsewhere. And maybe if it's not a fed Aatrox, maybe if it's almost anyone else around that Drake pit, you can maybe get a pick.
Watch
but not able to even do that. They do maintain that vision control. They are going to have this choke point controlled for when that Drake spawns in 15 seconds. Going to look for the fight here. controlling this choke and controlling that vision is so important. You can see Peace don't have any idea where they are standing, so the approach here has to be so slow and methodical.
Okay, well, that's going to be a base check from Aladoric. Not very slow there, but they do get the big Drowsy onto 2. That's a ton of damage on a JoJo, but that's just the support. Tally is going super deep, and now Violet has all the room in the world, though Gigo is trying to get on top of him, and that's really the question. Can you take away Violet? The answer will be no, as Visitachi and Tally will run through them. A triple kill onto the side of this Aphelios as the long-range Graviton will come through, and Aegis will be taking down the sad P Shines, as Peace will take another huge team fight.
Visitachi is just eating the last turret shots as they don't look at explosions. These cool guys, they run right over to the Baron, and with this decisive fight win, they can get more than just a Baron. They can control some of that vision around the Baron pit, get a free turret. I mean, the world is yours to take as Peace, and this has been a lead that has compounded upon itself. Yes, there were a few hiccups along the way, there were a few bumps, there were a few mistakes and a few picks, but overall, in terms of controlling the game around this Aatrox mid pick, it's just been so fantastic. You get the pick onto Aladoric here as Red Canids, but you have to respect the follow-up engage. JoJo's the only one hit there with the double stopwatch, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day, because once the Aatrox is in onto the fight, you're not going to be able to kill him, and there's so much free damage here from Violet. The Sylas is the only one who could really turn and try to make this happen as everybody else gets chunked low, and Peace just have the better team fighting comp. They're so far ahead, there's just so few options here as Red Canids.
The coaches, they're just so confident, leaning back. It's like, yep, you knew this was going to happen. And yeah, like you said, I mean, if you can't get onto the Aphelios, you're not going to win the fight. And it was kind of sad to watch what Aegis was doing in that one, as we do have a Red Bull Baron power play in favor of Peace as they do take down the Baron. But yeah, I mean, Aegis was knocked up against the wall by the Poppy. Then he tried to get away from the Poppy. He got Steadfast Presence. At least he got over the wall. Yeah, and then he was just running away. Like, there was just nothing that this backline access could do for the side of Red. The Yone wasn't there on time to really capitalize.
And you mentioned the range issue that they have with Azaya. I mean, Azaya isn't in a position to really poke and chip away, so you can't win a front-to-back team fight against an Aatrox that's basically permanently extremely tanky, so difficult to kill. Even if you bring him low, he can just walk away, then Poppy takes his place. And how do you break through that as the Zaya? In order to even chip away and try to front to back as Zaya, you're putting yourself in harm's way, so you're never really safe, so you're not going to see a lot of damage coming out of Titan this game, unfortunately. And again, it's just now a matter of Baron minions crashing into inhibitor turrets. There's no vision on the map. There's no hope. I mean, I think if you're Red Cans, you're thinking about Game 4 right now.
Might be on the cards here. Beasts are going to be looking for this inhibitor. They do have the 4-1 going. The Everfrost is going to land on the Tally, but
look at how tanky he is. Look how
pretty
survivable
fine.
he is.
Yeah, I mean, he uses his World Ender. I suppose that's the one good thing for the side of the Red Canids. They get the ultimate away, but that is it because this inhibitor is going to go down, and they still have Baron. They're really pushing this Red Bull Baron power play as far as they possibly can, as there is a massive Moonlight Vigil onto 3 of them, just wrecking that back line as they might just end it here. I mean, we're only 25 minutes into the game. Peace gonna take their time with it. They will back away and respect the 5v5, and they will look to take down the turret first.
All right, take it down. Nexus turret is permanent damage. They're not done yet.
Yeah, he just finds out what's what when you're playing into the Poppy as Lee Sin. You get to do absolutely nothing. Even Gigo's ult does nothing either, as he will immediately go down. Titan is also chunked down, and 9-1-6 will be the end for Violet, who had the most comfortable game ever with this team composition. Peace take a super dominant win there, 2-1 in the series.
Sally's Aatrox was MVP, such control of the mid game. This draft was strong from start to finish, and you didn't have a good way to get onto the back line. You didn't have a good way to get onto the Aphelios. I mean, you think about ways to get on top of carries. You think about Yone and Sylas as two of the best ones, but when the front line is this strong, you can never break through. You fall behind early. And this game was really over 10 minutes before the Nexus fell.
That's what happens when you go 9-1.
That's right. Violet absolutely ended up carrying a lot of those team fights, but it was his teammates frontlining for him that made it so easy. To just basically press R on the back line, use his guns, and blow everybody up. Because if you can't get on top of the Aphelios, his damage output is just insane.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. I feel like you and I, Wolf, the second we saw that draft and we saw that auto lock of the Poppy, I think we got really confident in what this was able to do. As I said in the beginning of the game, they basically just need to secure the the execution in the team fights, and if they can do that, it will be enough. So guys, Peace showed up in a big way for Game 3, and we'll look to finish off the Red Cannons next. Stay tuned for more Worlds after this break.
What can I do for you? See you soon.
Red Bull gives you wings.
You got my attention. Okay, good.
Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk, where Peace Esports will push ahead in the series to 2-1, putting us on series points. And Raz, I want to come to you first with another draft-focused discussion, because once again, I think something very creative and intelligent coming out of Peace there, bringing the Poppy, another signature pick, in fact, as well, out of Visit Chachi to be able to flex the Aatrox down to the mid lane and find a fabulous matchup.
It's great. You'll love to see it. That was definitely the Poppy comps of all Poppy comps. You know, you're dealing with a Rakan that can engage into, of course, the matchup that he had up top playing Yone. There were a lot of dashes, including the Lee Sin, that he actually was able to just, like, disable for larger team fights. So I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah, and I love to see again they kind of pulled the rug out from underneath Red Cannons, right? They take the Aatrox, think, right, this is going up the top lane. All right, let's go with the Yone, and they're like, no, we're going to swap this into the mid lane. Great matchup there against the Sylas, and from that you got Babip with a super strong mid laner that he can play through, and you've already got your bot lane winning as well because they got some early kills. It just felt like there was no stopping Peace in this game.
Right, and I think, again, I want to highlight for people that while you look at the way the early game flows and you see, oh, the Poppy goes down 0-2-0. Doesn't seem like a great flex and signature pick to me. The reality is, you look at the rest of the map and you see what that creates in terms of opportunity for everyone else. And at the end of the day, Poppy doesn't need kills to operate. She doesn't really need much gold. She probably just needs 2 items, become a fat frontline, and do her thing. And so, you know, how much space it kind of afforded the rest of the squad to get ahead in their respective lanes, it was just awesome to see.
Yeah, and as well, as you say, like, you were laughing about it backstage, just being able to run rings around people, essentially, that top lane, buying time for it. So the Poppy was able to do so much both in lane and then also when you got to the later portion of the game, obviously, as Raz was pointing out, being able to buy space for that back line. And when you've got an Aphelios, it is also the perfect comp, both offensively and defensively.
Yeah, and honestly, at this point, we're just seeing them fire in all cylinders. I think right now, Peace, not only just in the team fights that we kind of expected coming into this series, but also just in straight laning phase. As you mentioned, like, bot lane is turned against the Titan very quickly, and JoJo. That was just a 2v2 solo kill that they were able to get down there. Violet and mostly Aladoric on his Leona has been really pivotal in this series. Aladoric, as he got out of laning phase, was incredibly strong in team fights. You'll love to see it from a player who's been growing within the LCO scene, and now going into the next game where they are on match point, they look like the more refined team.
Now, Dagda, I don't know how much this is really saying, but that might be the most consistent and prettiest gold graph we have seen all day.
Yeah, definitely.
across both of our series. It's one team from start to finish in control of the game, and that's a bit of a relief to see here in our 8th game of the day.
Yeah, but I'm glad that we are getting it from Peace, right? Because certainly, I mean, even talking to ourselves in the desk, Peace looked like the stronger team, right? And we're coming in, the only real caveat that we're giving towards Red was, hey, look, maybe they come in with the strong early game, but this flexibility in draft has really caught them out now. They're not getting those strong lanes that they can play through. And certainly when we look towards Grevtar as well, he's unfortunately been the one that's been caught out by this. We wanted to see Grevtar having that interaction, playing towards bot, playing towards top, but when you're put onto the side of Aatrox matchup, you just don't quite have the room to make that work, and you've then got to look for plays elsewhere, which they can't do because everywhere's winning.
Okay, well, here's where I've got a little bit of dynamite news, Raz, because we're going to turn our attention to series point with Red Cannons on the back foot. Yes, they get side selection. They'll go to red, but there's some other piece that goes along with it. Grevtar is out, and Avenger is in. So first reactions to that, Raz.
I have no words.
It's your job to have words, son. You got to speak.
I got a friend out there in Berlin. I think you could talk a little bit there.
Talk to me, Dagda. Help me out. What do we do?
I've got no words. I don't know what.
All right, I got words.
I think the biggest thing is, like, look, they're realizing that we're having struggles in this mid lane. Avenger, a much stronger laner than Grevtar, and they're just going, right, we need to sort out this early game. That's where we're falling apart. Let's bring Avenger in and see if you can take that mantle where Grevtar's kind of left off.
Okay, I'm starting to get my bearings again, and I feel like I hate this decision. It's an issue for me in the draft. The draft was bad, and maybe, like, of course, outside looking in, we don't know what the conversations are like, and maybe the conversations are quite limited in what Grevtar is willing to play. That's all speculation. But for me, there's so much that I feel like they could be doing within the draft. After the second game, when Peace took that, I said we needed to see them empowering bot lane, right? That was just not going to be a good bot lane matchup for Titan and JoJo. And understood, like, they took a bad 2v2 and they lost because of it. But that's how I feel like they should play. They should make the game very straightforward. And then, of course, they did get caught off guard with the Aatrox mid. And that's just going to be a bad matchup, and he got bullied by a snowballing Babip. Babip right now is taking over 2 games in a row. And so for them to change up mid lanes, maybe it's a different mentality they can come across this. But it's been so long since we've seen Avenger play with this team. I hate the decision.
And I agree with Raz to a lot about the draft, because when we looked at the priority that we saw, right, it was the Misfortune ban, the Lucian ban. They were eyeing up that Lee Sin. That was the pick that they really wanted to try and gather. And honestly, we've seen it 2 games in a row now, not having that big impact. Bob being able to bring out the Nidalee to counteract it, now bringing out the Lillian looking great on it. It really does feel like you've got to mix things up. Now, maybe they think Avenger can do that, but I agree with Raz. That's not really a mid lane issue. That's you not being comfortable to just draft around your bot lane and play around your bot lane.
All right, well, plenty of questions still around the draft when it comes to Red Canids looking to put 2 games together here back to back. But I tell you this much, bringing in Avenger, he's got the perfect name when you're looking for revenge against the team you just took a loss to. Now, we aren't done yet. It's game 4 coming up right after this quick commercial break. We'll see you here.
Avengers won in the 3rd one. Maybe they can do it.
Exactly, man. It's possible.
this. Make or break.
Vitality will take them!
A new era is waiting. Make it yours.
Acho que o jogo de hoje ele foi meio apático por nossa parte e a gente foi muito indisciplinado. A gente consegue fazer muito mais do que a gente fez hoje.
4 is gonna be it, and yes, you got the Baron, but you lost it all.
Mas Daqui pra frente, a gente tem uma melhor de 5, a gente sabe o quanto a gente é versátil nas melhores de 5. Então eu espero que vocês confiem na gente, porque ainda não acabou. E hoje só foi um teste pra ver o que eles queriam fazer e a gente tirou muita informação. Então é isso, rapaziada, tamo junto.
Well, that was good to see from Teton. They're going to need him to step up in a big way if they want to have some hope of bringing this one back. It's still me, Valdez, with Wolf, bringing you Peace versus Red Canids. Peace destroyed them in the draft and then really brought it to them in the game as well. This is going to be a hard ask, but it's definitely not impossible.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to work on the drafting. I mean, the desk broke it down pretty hard, and I think we did too when we were talking about that game going into it, but they didn't expect the Poppy pick. The draft was very heavy on 80 damage. The Silas follow-up pick felt desperate. You had to deal with the flex of the Aatrox mid. I think we need to go back to more standard drafting. You pick blue side, you prioritize a Lee Sin, and that didn't get any value whatsoever in that game. So I think it's time to go back to the drawing board a little bit. I hope Avenger can end up doing something great for them. Personally thought Grevthar was the very much the stronger player going into playoffs. It's why he was starting all the way up until what could be their last moments.
Yeah, that was definitely a very strange moment for us, but, you know, it's all of us looking from the outside in, right? It's those guys on the side of Red Canids, the coaches and the players. They know better than us, at least. Maybe Grevthar's just not feeling it. Maybe they want to give Avenger at least a chance to show what he can bring to us. We all kind of agree that the draft was the biggest problem from that game number 3, but who knows? Maybe he'll also bring in like some kind of weird pocket pick. You know, there's this very strange meta going on right now. There's a lot of things being tested, and who knows? Maybe he's going to be the one to bring in the Vi mid or something like that. So, you know, it's on paper when we're looking at it from the outside in, it definitely feels a little bit strange, but I'm willing to give it a go at least and see what we can see here as the draft has started up for game number 4.
We will see how it all shakes down, because in terms of controlling the early game, they did a great job of dealing with the aggression in game 1, but that feels so far away now. It feels so long ago. As on red side here, this time we'll see what ends up getting prioritized. The Misfortune was banned by Red Cannon, so once again we're going to see the Lucian pick here. They've also left up Babib's Diddly and the Lilia we've talked about so much. Both have come into great fruition here for him this game around. Won't be able to play the Aurelia, Tally won't. But this feels very familiar. Will we see the Ezreal coming through? Will we see the Lee Sin and the Leona coming through for Red Cannons? I want to see a big change here. I want to see a move away from that, but looks like it might just be more of the same here, Valdez.
We're going to see Lee Sin again. That thing hasn't changed, and neither has the Leona.
Oh,
so
no.
it's called it perfectly. We both kind of on the same page with that one. And, you know, maybe they're just trying to keep something hidden. You know, I'm trying to be positive here, but to be honest, I mean, I like the Leona. The Lee Sin against the Poppy especially was a little bit, it looked very powerless. So let's see how they mix it up here, as this time it's going to be Lucian Braum. So we've seen Lucian Nami, Lucian Leona, and they're going to give it a try with the Braum, as the Leona, of course, was picked away.
The Braum pretty good into potentially that Ezreal pick to come through. It can block a lot of that damage. Obviously, you know, in the laning phase against the Leona, you're going to have a lot better time than you are as a Rakan. So we'll see if that ends up being the pick, the Ezreal there. The Jace going to come through blind this time. The Kennon's already removed. You've got the Aurelia taken out. Not a lot of great counter picks for the Jace, the most common being the Wukong. And we'll see if Gigo is willing to pick that one up. He hasn't played it yet this tournament. So again, one of those perhaps unfamiliar matchups that could end up putting Red Canids behind. As this time the Zoe will come through for Avenger. So that might be the pick they were looking for here.
Very interesting one. I feel like if I'm looking at the side of Peace, I wouldn't mind the Zoe on their side. You know, you have Culling, you have Shock Blast, and you have Zoe over the top. It's AP damage, mixes very well. But to see the Zoe picked up this early on is pretty interesting. Curious, maybe this is what Avenger has prepared. And because you do go for this, you lose a couple of 80 carry picks. I know during the break, Wolf, you were talking about wanting to see the Draven or something like that, you know, really try to mix it up. Maybe this is Teton's moment to do that.
Yeah, I would love to see that. The Ezreal's taken away already, as you mentioned.
see the Trendemir ban here. Not a huge fan of this Jarvan ban because the Jace is very likely going to be going to the top side of the map. Obviously could be flexed mid, but banning something like the Lilia away I think is a way more powerful option considering how this is being played so far. Or even the Nidalee, because we have so much poke. And they're thinking the same thing as me, man. They want that Draven gone. It's gone. It's off the board here. And that means the Aphelios is going to be the best meta late game scaling option that's available, and they'll pick it up here.
Yeah, and in terms of the lane, I think the Aphelios will be doing just fine. When you are looking at a decent amount of poke with the Jace and the culling, it can be a bit hard, and they're actually going to go ahead and pick up the Yone as well. So, again, another kind of hard engaged champion straight into this Aphelios, which is always a little bit interesting. And the Lilia gets picked up once again, so there's your AP damage on the side of Peace.
Yeah, I mean, you could have gone with either. You go a little bit more all in on the poke with the Nidalee, but you're dealing with Zoe poke on the other side. There's a lot of fragility that comes with this Lilia pick instead, especially when Zoe poke can hit you, and then you're going to have a big problem. If you end up getting hit by that, your engage option is null. You also don't have a very strong front line with the composition of Peace here. You have the Braum on the front line, but this is really, I think, a game that's going to be decided by a vendor's ability to hit those battle stars, because if you can hit those priority targets and keep Babip out of the fight, end up out-poking Jace in some of these scenarios where you're fighting over vision, then maybe they've got a good chance to bring this to a fifth game. The Wukong pick here gives them a lot of extra engage. They already have the Lee Sin, they have the Leona. Great matchup into, at least once you get to the middle parts of it, into that Jace there. So they have a counter pick for Gigo against Vivitachi here. There's hope if you're a Red Canids fan here, because this is not the same level of draft diff for Peace that we saw in the last game. I think there's definitely two sides to this, and it's really going to be about Avenger. I mean, all eyes on this player. It was about the rookie, it was about Grevthar, his appearance here in play-ins, but now they're really shifting over to a completely different play style.
Yeah, it will be fun to watch. I do feel like they have some lanes that they can get ahead in as well. It will take a little bit of time, right? It's not going to happen right at the beginning, as you did mention. The Zoe in the early levels can get a decent amount of poke in, but once we hit like level 6, there's definitely some funky things that the Yone can do to that Zoe. And that's, part of the reason why we used to see like the Orianna and stuff into the Zoe, because it's like, exactly where she's going back on the portal jump. So in the same vein of thinking, the Yone is like, well, I know exactly where you're going, the easiest ult lineup in the world. I can engage immediately onto you and just try to get right in your face and burst down the Zoe before she pulls off any more of her tricks. So I feel still pretty good for the side of Peace, but this definitely looks better for game number compared to game number 3 for the Red Cats.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a step in the right direction, and it's all going to be about execution here.
30 seconds until
I pause my thoughts as top laners stare each other down, but it's not the only one here.
How many? Oh, okay. Well, that's going to be unfortunate for Aladoric. Misses that one, gives himself the thumbs down. As, yeah, just going to throw out some, I believe that was Legacy 2020 there on the side. I didn't see who was actually flashing that. But of course, Peace representing the LCO, OCE, trying to bring in a best-of-5 once again for their region. We'll see if they can do it and go up against C9 tomorrow. Definitely will be a super hype matchup if they could get there and potentially knock them down.
It would be a very dominant win for Peace here. Most dominant for their region in a best-of-5. We're not there yet. As the real question becomes, Zoe is such a hit-or-miss champion, no pun intended, because if you can actually hit those skill shots consistently set up for sleeps, this composition is insanely strong as Red Canids. I mean, there's so much potential for follow-up. You end up hitting a sleep with that Trouble Bubble, then there's a Zenith Blade follow-up, then or you could Solar Flare into it, then follow up with sleep. There's so many ways you can use this composition, but it's all about the accuracy. So we can see early trading here for the Wukong, Peroxide Conqueror.
Yeah. Procking the Conqueror and has the extra armor, getting right on top of Vizitachi, making life hard for the Jace. So one thing you can do at level 1 is get really annoying here and just charge on in over and over. Once the Jace gets a couple of levels, I feel like it goes back into his favor for a little bit. But then, as you were talking about, Wolf, once you hit like level 8, 9, Wukong gets his ultimate, there's a lot of kill pressure that does come in from the Wukong, which is not very common in lanes that go up against Jace.
Yeah, Jace is usually the bully. Start to mid, and Wukong, you have a lot of power in early to mid, and then even later on, obviously, if you get ahead. What's really interesting about this mid matchup, like you mentioned, is the kind of volatility of it between the Yone and the Zoe, because both of these champions go forward and come back with their abilities. The Soul Rip there, and of course, ultimate from Zoe is Bobip's going to go for a very early game, punishing this aggressive play from Gigo.
This is perfectly timed. He's already burning down. The Lee Sin is charging up, trying to buy some time. Miss on the Q of the Lilia, but as we have it, Avenger comes in and gets the Ignite down that was stolen, and now Bobip is under this turret. Aegis in a rough spot, but he will survive, and Red Cannons get a couple. We have TP coming in. Doesn't look like there will be an escape here for this Lee Sin, as he will at least deny it from the Jace, I suppose. But that's first blood and a couple here of the Red Cannons.
Yeah, it takes 13 seconds for that to execute to proc, and I think it was a few shy of that when he does come in there with the teleport to finish him off. So 2 for 1 here for Red Cannons, but could have been a little bit cleaner there for Peace if that Q lands from Bobip. It's a completely different story, but the fact that it misses by so much critical time. Teleport not used for Tally either in this exchange, so he's going to be able to keep that. That's one really nice advantage that they are going to have. Of course, Gigo on the other side will keep his. But this Wukong aggression is working out very well in what is somewhat of a counter pick here against the Jace. Losing a lot of farm, or was potentially going to lose a lot of farm here. We'll actually clean this up. Picks up 2 assists for himself, and things can definitely start to snowball. Like we mentioned, out of control on the top side if Red Cannons continue to cap this.
It was pretty cool to see how fast the Zoe could collapse as well with the teleport. Looks like she picked up Ignite with her W as well. It's pretty lucky for this moment.
Yeah, notice the Q missing, as you mentioned. That would have been a dead Wukong there. And unfortunately, he survives a little bit longer. And this is just so unfortunate. Allows you just to come in here and grab that kill between 2 enemy turrets. Does eventually, of course, fall there. But things could have definitely gone a little bit better there for Peace, just threading the needle there. You could see the excitement, obviously, in the coaching booth, because this is do or die for Red Cannons. One more loss, and you're out of the tournament. Your world's ends here.
Yep, and that's never a comfortable feeling. Wukong up a level, but this time knocked into the Lilia, and no flash now for the Wukong as he's trying to get away. They don't exactly know where he is, but they will find him very quickly. They hand over the kill to Vizichachi, and Bobip doing a little bit of babysitting, and it will actually benefit them pretty nicely.
There's nothing that Aegis can do on the other side of the map. Not going to be able to find any sort of counter picks or anything like that. So twice now, Peace have been able to punish this Wukong trying to put the pressure on. Really well-timed shock blast there for Itachi. But, you know, this is going to start to take its toll here against the Wukong eventually if this continues. Itachi is going to have to sit under turret here very safely. You can see, even after the death, he's going to push the issue.
Okay, trying to force the sleep as he does get underneath the turret, but is the burst damage enough? Yes, it will force the flash as Tally has to go back here, but good to get the flash out there pretty much for free. It's now Bobip from downtown rolling the bowling balls, looking for a kill in the bottom lane. Bobip is everywhere, and he picks up another kill in the bottom lane.
He's the strong side police in this game because both lanes where you see the heavy pushing coming through, he's just sweeping in for the easy ganks when the overextension comes through. And Bob is just so well versed on this Lilia pick. He's really the only player in this whole tournament who's consistently playing it. It's fallen out of the meta in most regions, but he's finding kills with it. He's finding tempo advantages. And if this continues, this Lilia is going to get out of control. Already got his Predator boots online.
Yeah. It's pretty rough playing against Bobip. I mean, it was looking so good for Red Cannons in their turnaround in the top lane, but Bobip just never seems to stop. It's been nice to see that piece. You know, they're finding some carry plays from multiple members in their lineup. You know, Tally's done it in the group stage part of this play-ins group, as I'm going to have to hold that thought as we're getting in there. The kick is ready, and Vizichachi's level 5 right now. He does not quite have the health or damage to do much here. Bobip, though, is incredibly strong. And with Tally coming over, they will back away. But still, Red Cannon's able to pick up another kill here onto Vizichachi up in the top side.
Yeah, so the aggression is just all about the top side of the map right now. Both players trying to vie for control there. Unfortunately, with just a little bit of slower rotation, they don't get the pick back, but Tally is not done.
Okay, he's going to try to ult in. There's a lot of damage going on to an Avenger, but JoJo's right there. And splashing in for the kill is Alatoric. He will not be able to pick it up, and now Titan picks up one for himself. The bowling ball comes through. and that will deter them from more, but this is, you know, slowly but surely going into the hands of Red Cannons. Multiple kills now.
I mean, they are at 1,000 gold to lead, and yes, you've got a nice lead, and yes, you can skirmish well with this composition. You've got a pretty accelerated Lilia here, but she's only got, you know, her Sork Shoes and now an Amptome. She's not that far ahead. You don't want to really be trying to force these skirmishes. It's a composition that is very tempo-based in a lot of ways. You don't want to be going into the late game with a Lucian, right, and a Yone who haven't done anything throughout the early game, but we're not really at the point yet where they have those first few items online where they can really look to try to force these fights. You have to respect the power of Red Cannon's composition, especially defensively in some of these fights.
All right, well, Peace reading the back here on the Red Cannon, saying, okay, even though they have the Scuttle Crab and we're on vision, we can still go for this. And with Teton down on the bottom side and showing, they don't know 100% Red Cannons where the Lucian is. So they say, okay, we'll just let them have that one. It's going to be a nice pickup here for the side of Peace, trying to come back in this game. Bobby's going to pick that one up as the Crescendum is getting to work in the bottom side. Teton, she's full mana, full health. He's just getting to work and picking up multiple plates.
It's a really nice macro play from Red Cannons to actually rotate down there because you can protect the Crescendo push there on the turret with that buff. It's going to be a trade, but guess what? The Aphelios wins this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's 3 plates.
Yeah.
And he's not done.
And, like, they don't
Nobody's
get any.
there.
3 on the top side means this is just a bad macro call here from Peace. But the thing is, there's not really much they could have done with the rotation that we saw over from JoJo and Aegis towards the bottom side of the map. If Violet stays, he dies, and they get the plate, so he has to leave. And so you end up losing out on the Rift Herald, but what you gain is the same value Rift Herald would have granted you, plus 3 members of the side of Peace missing, getting nothing. You're going to be able to drop that Rift Herald down and gain a little bit of that gold disadvantage back. But this is still 10 CS the advantage as well gained here for Teton.
He's so far ahead now. He even picked up a call in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, he is just massive. If we look at his gold, it's just going to be insane numbers right now for him. And they didn't even drop the Rift Herald on the side of Peace just yet. As the Gravitum is coming through, they're going to get the lockdown here onto the Braum. As in comes level 7, Aegis looking for at least a kill. He uses his flash to make sure they can take down the Braum. A little bit of a rotation is coming in. The bowling ball is going to miss. As the root comes in and Bobby's just running straight into them. He is not very tanky right now, and Peace are having some issues with, how far they should go on this one. Tally in a bit of issue now as well. He has to come back. He's going to go down. Violet's all alone. At Red Cannons, they find the opportunities, and they are just crushing.
I mean, this is the kind of territory, but we've been talking about all series long about where Red Cannons are at their strongest. And, it starts to feel like, well, do I even believe these casts anymore? Because they've never been able to have this level of control in this best of 5. If you hadn't watched the rest of the group stage, if you haven't watched their region, you might not feel like this team ever has control of the early game. In Game 1, the only game of the series they've taken so far, Teton game became out of control in the Israel after some small picks happened when Peace overextended. Once again, with some overextensions here from Peace, they're giving gold all around the map. I mean, 4 kills for Aegis so far this game. And he's going to be involved in the fight here as the Rift Herald is dropped, but there's so many resources given. And look at the rotation up from Avenger. This is not the end of this.
Yeah, I mean, they knew exactly who it was, or where it was going to go, right? And this gets nothing. So that Rift Herald that you get the gold from killing it. That's what you got, and I suppose you got some map control by forcing them to go top. That's fine. Red Cannons are just laughing at that one. Nice little trade here by Tally, but they got to do a lot more to get on the back of this one, as we do have the new Axe Effect replay coming in for this. And it did not look great for Peace. Red Cannons crushed him in this one.
Yeah, and Aegis is just able to flash in, set up for the kick there, and they're able to pick off the very rare Braum kill. It's so difficult to kill him. And then for some reason, Babip decides, okay, I can come in here. You're dealing with a Leona here. That's the only one who's low. Tally is so far away, and yes, he has his ultimate. But yeah, I mean, yes, there's also Gravitum, but you are really just biting off more than you could chew here. And it almost feels like for the last 5 to 6 minutes of this game, Peace have felt they have a huge advantage that just really isn't there. I mean, you had a nice advantage as this Lilia early on. You did end up getting those early 2 kills, but you're not in a place anymore where you can actually continue to force these fights, especially when you're in these deficits, especially when you've already lost your Braum.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Wolf, if Red Cannons lose this game, they're out of world. So this means everything to them right now. They are fighting tooth and nail with their back against the wall. And they're showing up big time. You really got to hand it to them when the pressure is on. Everybody, all 5 players, are performing at a high level right now for the Red Cannons. That's going to be the full turret down on the bottom side. Look at the gold difference between the 280 carries. 2,000 gold, 12 and a half minutes into the game. And now they're going to find Bobbit and Aladoric sleeping in the river. And that's going to be a nice Yone ultimate. That's a lot of damage coming back here as Tally is just going insane. He's not going to get any kills, but at least he saves the lives of his teammates.
Yeah, it was a really nice double knock up there, but he adds a flash, uses that ultimate here, and they're not able to pick off any kills, as you mentioned. And you can see the power of this composition at this stage. If you get the tempo lead with this Lilia, if you could push the Yone advantage, you have so much power, but it's not working out. Tally.
It's going to be a miss there from Avenger. Gets knocked up. He just is here. He's trying to get the knock up underneath, and he just does so much damage. I mean, he just gore drinkered him in the face. I mean, he like took that item out and smacked him.
He's level 9. He's got 5 kills. He's even built a little bit of that magic resist already here. The guy is so difficult to kill, and if he gets behind you at this stage of the game, the rest of Red Cannons can clean up house. You end up getting a kick. That's all it takes. And with no defensive options there for Tally, can you really blame him? It's more about the proactive play there from Aegis. Sachi here on the top side of the map might be the next target. He does have Aladoric nearby. But man, the bot turret is demolished. There's such a huge amount of gold. Now that the coal is complete, that's a bunch of extra bonus gold going over to Titan. Finishes his Gale Force here early. Now the Divine Sunderer is up for Gigo. I mean, what more of a lead could you really ask for with this composition that's also, by the way, very strong in the late game? Once the Zoe starts getting those Paddle Stars off later on, once you see Aphelios really get to front to back against this team fighting composition of Peace, it gets worse. It doesn't get better from here. 6,800 to 4,500, 13 gold. No, sorry, 2,300 gold, the leader.
Yeah, he's, that's the thing about the
Don't
late
do
game.
math on cast.
Yeah, that's generally a good rule. But this time you got there, Wolf, so congratulations. Yeah, Titani, he's also up 2 levels. So he's getting all these extra stats. He has all that extra. And even in terms of late game, it doesn't even really matter what champion that is. Like, he's just going to be so far ahead just based on the way the game is going, but especially because of his Aphelios and some of those champions that like to get into your face. As Red Cannons will be picking up the Rift Herald here. Looks like that top turret is the target here because the other 2 turrets, oh, I guess the mid one is still up. It's getting late over here in Korea. But
certainly late for us, yeah.
They have their options, right? They could go mid or they could go top, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, you have so much power here as Red Cannons, and unfortunately for Peace, with a composition that's running this Lucian Yone, you kind of just have to sit back and watch the show. At least they got the first Drake in this game, so there's a little bit more of a buffer for them. It's not like they're getting completely choked out of the game. It's not like towers are falling all around them, but you can't make proactive plays in a composition that so desperately wants to be proactive early, especially with the lead that Bob had early. Some of those proactive plays he made were what's springboarded Red Cannons back into this game and gave them such a huge advantage. I mean, we're now talking 5,000 gold lead nearly. So you're between a rock and a hard place here for Peace, and it's not an unwinnable game by any means. The challenge is going to be to find those holes, find those gaps in Red's composition. And with the Gale Force already up for Titan, picking him off is just out of the question. You've got a tanky, powerful Aegis here on the Lee Sin who can basically buffer almost anything. We've seen some miracle engages from Bob. I think that's where you're going to have to start.
Well, they're going to get the... Oh, he tried to get the knock-up onto Avenger. Nice stride from Aladoric, kind of an awkward angle there. As we do have the Rift Herald still, they're not even going to use it. They can hold on to that and see what's happening now. The Zoe from ahead, even a trouble bubble rather, onto Bobbit. He is going to take a huge chunk himself. And now what are you going to do? You don't have the range, you don't have the wave clear. You've got a bowling ball, and that's it. This is going to be another turret into the pockets of Red Cannons. They are taking over this entire map.
Yeah, I remember last game where I said, well, I don't like to call games over. We're kind of nearing that territory here. It's a very different scenario, and there is some comeback potential in Peace's composition, but I gotta say, Avenger, he's delivering on this Zoe. We've seen some up and downs, talked about it earlier. We did see a very successful Zoe in the first series of the evening. We saw Cody's Zoe, a few days ago, not quite live up to the hype that we were expecting to see him play well on it with, but in this particular game, he's hitting the skill shots when they matter most, and everything is suddenly all coming together here for Red Canids, and that's what you love to see in a best-of-5 like this, where it looked like all hope was lost. They got totally draft gap in the previous game. They're going to take their first Drake of the game for free while they have control of 3 lanes across the map. I mean, as Peace here, you're kind of hoping for a miracle. You're hoping for an overextension.
Yeah, I mean, I think on their side, it is going to be difficult to lock down some of the squishy backline, namely the Zoe and the affiliates, but they do have some tools. It's not going to be easy, mind you. I think they need some Shock Blast to start off a fight, maybe if things kind of are shuffling around an objective and everybody's kind of posturing, maybe Visichanchi, who, yes, he did fall behind in the lane, but he's kept up in CS. He still is a Jace. Maybe he can do some work into that backline. Just looking for, you know, potential here on the side of Peace.
What you can do before an objective fight, and we're so far away from that because that Drake was taken for free, what you can do is even toss in a culling, you know, before the fight. And if you can chip down... Oh, no, this is not where you want to be!
Yeah, Bobup's out here all alone, and he is going to have a Jace, as even the Solar Flare comes in just for a bit of help. Did not even need that, as that will be another kill onto him.
He's not safe.
Yeah, they just didn't have the vision to go onto that one, and he's even going to flash, and they don't seem to care. The damage comes in, the kick flash, and that will be a free Jace on top of everything else. Diego takes a lot of damage, but it won't be enough. They are so far behind our Peace, and Red Cannons are just taking everything right now.
Oh, I mean, it's a dead Lily, it's a dead Jace, it's going to be a dead turret, and this might, I mean, I don't think this is going to be the last charge this Rift Herald gets either, because unfortunately, you've got a pushing mid Zoe on your mid inner turret you've got to deal with. Now your inhibitor turret's under fire. I mean, there is no way out. There's no escape button. There's no escape hatch. You are just getting pushed out of this game. In all 3 lanes, like Tally's got a little bit of pushing going on the bottom side of the map, but the damage is way more significant elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, Tally's just there because if he was in a lane, it's like, what are you going to do? You're Yone. Maybe you could look for some engages, but at this point, I think Peace have kind of given up on that idea as they are so far behind. Much like Game 3 was a huge draft gap that was well executed by Peace, this one just feels like an execution gap in favor of Red Canids. I feel like Bobbit, you know, he got an early lead, and unfortunately, he's been out of position now multiple times, and Red Cannons every single time are there to capitalize.
Yeah, it feels like, I think that's now the 3rd or 4th time, unfortunately, this game. He has just been somewhere where you're not allowed to be as a very squishy Lilia. If you're an Olaf in that position, yeah, maybe you can get away with it. If you're a Jarvan in that situation, you can flag drag your way out, but not as the Lilia. I mean, she doesn't have mobility, she doesn't have escapes, and you did it for a scuttle because you want that vision so desperately, so you can actually protect a little bit of split pushing on the top side of that, because that turret's still up. You want to put Tally in a lane to get value. Got it at the bottom side. Now you want to protect him on the top side there, but the Punisher's real, and it's not just him. It's the whole map you lose with just one overextension like that.
Yeah, and you know, Red Cannons, they're in a position where they have total map control, and I suppose, fortunately, that for Peace, there aren't any huge objectives that they can actually take right now, but it's still Red Cannons all the way. As they're here in the brush, it looks like they saw them go into this one. The stun will come down, and the 2 of them are just going to be massacred as the Yone Tally tries to get something down, but it will not amount to too much. They kill him in flight. Double kill underneath Teton's belt once again, and now they can go for the Baron easy peasy.
Yeah, 21-minute Baron, but I mean, with the Aphelios this fed, you've got the damage to do it. This is realistic. Even if you haven't killed half the enemy team, more than half the enemy team before this, this is something you could start. You can actually control choke points. The Rift belongs to Red Cannons. I mean, it looks very likely, Valdez, if we're going to a 5th and final game in this series. We're going the distance. We're going all 10, baby. And
it was the prophecy.
It was the prophecy.
Told.
We knew it was going to happen. You and I both, right before the day started, we were like, I think it's a 10-game day. And
yeah.
I got to say, like, this feels like a draft where Peace trying to make a statement. Like, the Yone is a really strong tempo pick. We've seen it banned a lot in drafts as we watch this fight where, again, it's just a collapse in on a Peace that's just trying to wrestle control vision on the Baron that they know is doable for Red Cans. But the draft there, they kind of overextended with this Yone. They overextended with the Lilia. And now the Baron power play is out. I mean, we're already looking at a 10,000 gold lead at 22 minutes.
Yeah. This is the Red Bull Baron power play, and it's going to be one that you've maybe you haven't seen this level of before, because not only are they super far ahead, but they basically got Jace and bowling balls and calling for wave clear against Baron minions. We'll see how well that goes for them. I suppose on the side of Red Canids, you basically have the Zoe and the Aphelios for poke and siege, but that's a whole lot, especially when you're this far ahead. So they're just going to look to push 2 lanes. It's still very early on in the game, so they can't just kind of force it down.
You see
They'll
that
be looking for their opportunity.
The Shock Blast connect, the Empowered Shock Blast does very little damage to the entire roster. Vizichachi is behind Titan in terms of levels right now. He's a level behind the Aphelios. Now, who are you really threatening, unfortunately, at this point, with Baron empowered minions pushing down? There's nothing you can do.
Did you see that? That was insane. That's 1 Q from Titan. That's all he needs. And now we've got the Chakrams just flying throughout the air. As, all this airspace, all this ground space is currently controlled by the Red Canids. Said it before, I mean, we had draft gap in game number 3, but this is just absolutely Peace taking a gigantic beating by the Red Canids, and they are relentless as they are pushing in here with the Baron. We'll see if they stop on 2 inhibitors. I would say probably not.
I think they can definitely put some threat on these Nexus turrets while also pushing the top inhibitor. If they see an engage option, they'll look for it.
You can see they're trying, and the Zoe is he's going to get slept there in the back. Titan is pretty low. Maybe this is the opportunity, but where is the damage from Peace? They're just so far behind. The gigantic bank save from the side of Red Canids is about to fall on the heads of Peace like a cartoon right now, as all 3 inhibitors are going to go down. And, well, they've only got the Siege minion, but they'll stick around because why not? There's nothing else to do on this map.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Baron-empowered minions for just a few more seconds here. You're going to try to use that siege power. 1 Nexus turret down.
Tally's trying his best, and at least he is buying some time, I suppose. But, okay, we got 5 seconds now on the Red Bull Baron power play. They're going to look to make their most of it, as the damage is just chipping away slowly but surely onto these Nexus turrets. The Nexus is wide open. The super minions in all 3 lanes as the flash kick will come in, and there's not even time to react to that one. This one is a done deal, guys. We are going to a game number 5 here in the second best of 5 of the night. We will go the distance. Red Canids by themselves. Another chance to make it to the next round of Worlds.
Oh, look at how excited Titan is. He knows he carried that game. The damage was all his. He got such a nice lead early on. And it feels like the real star for Red Canids is oftentimes overextensions by the enemy team. I mean, unfortunately, Baba put himself in harm's way and was punished 3 times early on. You get that fed early, and it's very difficult to come back with a composition that is so tempo-based, with the Lucian who's behind, cowering under a turret, with this Yone who's unable to find picks, unable to find kills, really just running around the map, escaping picks, trying to survive, trying to farm, trying to find turrets on the edge, on the side lane. And there's much better drafting here in this 4th game. And the Zoe being a bit of an X factor here. We didn't know how Avenger was going to perform on it. Hit the skill shots when they mattered most, was able to set up several sleeps, good paddle star accuracy. And this is anyone's series to take. Cloud9 trying to prep for this game. They don't know what opponent it's going to be until the end of this last game.
Yeah, it might be a little bit confusing for them. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Who knows? Like, is it going to be the drafting or the better play of Red Canids? Who's going to show up? Which Red Canids will it be? Will it be Peace that makes it through? Who knows at this point? I mean, we're going to game 10 out of 10. It has been a wonderful evening so far, and we'll top it off with one last game, guys. We are going to throw it to the State Farm Analyst Desk after this break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back with game number 5.
Smell irresistible. The new Axe Effect.
Safe travels.
I just money, friend.
What's better than Silver Scrapes? Silver Scrapes times 2, baby. That's right. Welcome back to Worlds 2021, where we are now 2 for 2 in 5-game best of 5s. Let's go. Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk. Raz.
How are you guys feeling over there?
Well, living the life.
Daisy, easy as you can be.
So, you know what? I love this.
Let's go.
I love this. I'm so excited about this.
Especially the energy out of Chitan by the end of it. Pointing, literally looking at the other team saying, one more game.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about.
I love it. I love it when the players are feeling the energy. We are. You know the fans at home are as well. I am very sorry for the Australians who are waking 6 a.m. right now. We're like, just please get our team.
I really hope you don't have work. No work, please.
Yeah, I know, right? You got to love it. You got to love it. And you know what? Shame on us for not having the faith in Avenger. The swap comes in for Red Cannons, and it does work out for them. I do want to talk, though, about what changes, right? Yeah. Exactly. We'll take our lickings. I want to talk about what changed, though, with him coming in. So let's start with the draft, because we did call it out, you know, maybe a little bit less of a roamer, maybe a little bit more laning focus, and we did get the Zoe pick.
Yeah, and I think that was the big one, right? Because when you look at the draft, you've got 2 solid solo lanes now that you can actually look to play around. You got the Wukong, which is a good counter matchup into the Jace, and because they took that Yone into the mid lane, now you've got that pushing lane for the Zoe, and we pretty much saw that off the get-go paying dividends, where you get that TP to the top side, and then they're able to get control of the game from there. So I think definitely Avenger making the difference, but I think a draft was playing a large portion in setting him up for success.
100%. I agree on the sentiment of draft being much better. He was really in tune of the plays that were happening here. The TP that happened top side to get himself the kill also happened towards the bottom lane. Well, I'm sure we'll see a replay of that. I think he was just ready to play. I know I was snooping a little bit in his solo queue, and also just his like social media seeing. I mean, he's still streaming, he's still playing consistently. You could see it. There is no rust at all, and you can see it from the team. Their energy is at an all-time high level.
Yeah, it was fabulous to see. Again, you can see the energy of the squad as well, and I think that is so huge. It's so important. We talk about the first series of the day, a reverse sweep. You know part of that was built on momentum, and so Red Cannons right now, the team with maybe the edge in the momentum as we roll through some more of those clips from this one right here. But again, focus on Teton still as the primary carry for the squad.
Yeah, definitely Teton coming in, looking phenomenal in this bottom lane, and I love how many of these dual lane kills we're getting in this series. They've been popping off, but a lot of that success as well was because we had Aegis being unlocked because you had those solo lanes that were doing well. Cool, now Lee Sin can play down towards the bottom lane, have support from that mid lane, and set up this Aphelios to carry, because the whole gun game with Lucian is, hey, I want to play forward in the lane, I want to be able to push in onto the tower, but you're not going to be able to do that when you don't have control of the rest of the map.
And I look at this, and I say Aegis and also JoJo took control of this game. That bot lane play that they made, that's discipline that they didn't have in their first few games. That being able to take that one kill, play back, hey, Peace wants to give another kill to us, we'll take it then, but we were willing to just take small incremental advantages. And then, of course, that top lane play that came through, and it's the Leona being taken away for JoJo. And on top of it, it's Aegis with just an exceptional Lee Sin performance. So even though now we get to see Chitan unlock, it's because these two players were massive.
Yeah, you said it, Raz, with Aegis, but I think we have to drive the point home, Dagda, because we prefaced this series talking about what a pivotal member of Peace Babbitt is. And so much of our focus when it came to jungle was on him, and this, I feel like, was the first star game out of Aegis, and is going to start to make us maybe hone in on the jungle matchup as opposed to elsewhere.
And especially the Lee Sin as well, right? Because when we look over at the CB Law, this was a big pick for him. He went 3-0 in the playoff games against Flamengo and never got to touch the Lee Sin again. And then I saw it in the last game, I was like, oh boy, I'm ready. And then you're like, oh, I could have waited a little bit longer, actually. But coming into this game, he looked amazing. Really able to get control of the early stages. And as Raz said, playing down toward, well, we got to play top, we get to play into the bottom lane as well. He really did take over this game.
Very few times you get to see real in-game adjustments during a best of 5 where teams are just naturally getting better and making better decisions in the mid-game. And it felt like this is just the case here for Red Cannon. And so, yeah, I mean, look, is Lee Sin gonna get banned? I think so. I think he's not gonna get it again.
Okay.
But I think even if he's on another champion, he's just going to be better because the team is playing better around him. So draft's getting better. Players are getting a little, on the ball now. It's 6 p.m. around there in Brazil right now, so it's prime time spotlights on them, and I think they're, I'm starting to jump ship. It's starting to happen, guys.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. Already tipping your cap to where I was about to go. We find ourselves in the same position we were in earlier today. It is all reduced to a best of 1 between these two teams. It's Peace on one side. It's Red Cannons on the other. Final side selection. It goes the way of Peace. They're hopping over to the red side, but Avenger stays in, Dagda. So now that they've had a game to kind of understand and internalize what it is that Red Cannons looks like with him in the lineup, as that's the team that we actually all threw our weight behind at the beginning of the day. Yeah. I'm curious what you think is the recipe, the response, how they find success and ultimately pull it through. And then Raz, since you're thinking about flip-flopping, I'm coming to you on the Cannons next, so get ready, my friend.
I think the big one for me is kind of looking at how this bot lane again is shaping up, because too many times we've seen Cheeton set up as the big carry. I think Aphelios being a big proportion of that. If we're going to ban away the Misfortune, set up the Lucian as that bot side map. So I think maybe we could see that become a bit more of a contested pick. And if we get that same solo lane control coming through for Red Cannons, I think they can take it, but it's up to Peace to see if they can shut that down in draft.
All right, Raz, if Lee Sin is off the table like you're predicting, where do the Cannons go? How do they wrap it up? One more game is all they need to buy themselves another best of 5 here at World Play-Ins.
I'm honestly not too concerned about the jungle pick there for Aegis. He can go towards a Jarvan, or can just play what, the Lilias and all that and have that being taken away. I think the way they're playing around the 2v2 top lane has been working for them. If they take another blind pick Leona, I think it's a big thumbs up for this team. It allows them to make plays bot lane. Chitan has been able to play around JoJo very well. And what you saw that last game, JoJo is able to head top lane, cover for Gigo once, I think around 8 minutes in the game. He's just far more active, and I'm liking how JoJo's been progressing this series.
Well, nothing makes me happier than watching both teams walk down the tunnel side by side, all business, all seriousness here, as again, it is one game that separates either of these teams from another best of 5 and a chance to stay alive here at Worlds 2021. Cue it up again, baby! Let me hear those sweet sounds of silver scraping. On the other side of this commercial break, we'll meet you right back here for game number 5.
We are back here at Worlds Play-ins for the final game of the night. We have made it to the end of 2 best-of-5s, and this is the second one. Red Canids up against Peace. One more game to decide who will go on to the next stage in a best-of-5 against Cloud9.
And already we see that Red Canids are actually going to prioritize the Leona pick over the AD carry, and obviously that Lucian is still available, so this means Peace get to choose which one they want. They end up taking the Misfortune, which has found much more success so far in this tournament. They'll take it with the Braum. And actually, instead of the Lucian, they're putting Titan, potentially, it looks like, there's a hover, on this Ezreal instead. And I was wondering when we were going to see a big shift in terms of the jungles, because we haven't seen either of these teams touch the new assassins that are in this meta.
Yeah.
And it won't be this game either, as we do see Aegis once again lock in the Lee Sin with that Ezreal we were talking about.
Yeah, Lee Sin comes in. Titan going to run back the Ezreal one more time. Always listen to your mother. That's what Titan said in Game 1. And maybe he can say that here in Game 5 once again. Tally will get his hands on Sylas as well. So we have Misfortune and Sylas, a couple of picks that we know, the Misfortune just for her tier right now is insane, and Tally has been awesome on the Sylas so far. Already a lot of great ultimates to take. Let's see what is going to be taken off the table here in terms of bans. The Rise, the GP once again. I love that Poppy ban, by the way. That was a really cute one. I like how they go to the blue side and they take that one down. They're like, nope, not this time.
They've also banned the Zoe that we saw Avenger play last time. That is, of course, Peace have banned it, so that's not an option anymore. The Rise is taken away, and we'll see what final mid-pick they're going to take. And it's going to be the Syndra, so not giving them that opportunity to try to kind of play that slower style with the Syndra, play around that Ezreal scaling and the late-game team fighting that she does bring. That CC. Question now becomes what the second ban will be here for Red Canids, because it could once again put that focus on the top side of the map. We don't know what their top solo lane pick or either of their solo lane picks are going to be just yet, so there's no hints as what they're trying to avoid. The Gangplank, strong, obviously. Finally, they banned the Lilia. I'm just going to cut that point off. And finally, Bobip's not going to be able to play this champion. Now, they still have Italy. Doesn't work as well with this composition, though.
Yeah, it'll be pretty interesting to see where they do put their cards here for the jungle. You would imagine they take it now and then save counterpick for, a solo lane.
Yeah.
At this point in time, we don't know 100% where that Sylas is going to go, although I would say 95 into the hands of Tally. And yes, it will be the Nidalee that does come in here, because we have seen Titan hovering this Nico multiple times tonight. Don't think we will be seeing that one here. Sorry to Nico fans out there.
But he's still giving you the highlights. Still giving you the hover. And hey, Akali.
Okay.
This was another alternate option that we had in terms of AP soul laners that they didn't take. Remember, we saw the game where they had the Yone mid. They ended up putting the Silas in the top side of the map. It was that Aatrox game. This time they'll put the Akali into the mid lane here with the Camille lock-in, and it's going to be Renekton versus Camille, a classic. Feels like we're going a little bit back in time here, but Renekton gives you such strong follow-up engage. You can either start the fight off with the Renekton and have the Silas follow-up, either or. But if you end up hitting a spear to start this off, it becomes very difficult to front-to-back team fight here with what Red Canids have, as well as the Camille is often going to be the initiator herself and tries to go in and Hextech Ultimatum. She ends up getting blown up by so many ways. If she does decide to go in first, it's going to have to be a lot slower of a team fighting composition here for Red Canids than they would like.
Yeah. There's a lot of things here in terms of the lanes. Like, we see the classic Renekton Nidalee. It's back again, and it's in Game 5, right? They pull it out. It means that is such a comfortable lane for Bobbip to put his focus on and just go there. You can also look for potential plays onto the Akali. Might be a little bit harder to lock down. But in terms of that top lane, the Camille's not going to be enjoying her time too much. The Akali early on, especially, is not going to be having a fun time. What do you think about the bottom lane as well? We got MF once again here for the side of Peace. So in terms of the early game in the lanes and how it should go, you would imagine that Peace will be pretty comfortable. Maybe they can roll that into something more.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to shut down any sort of collapse in terms of front-to-back or engages, because bullet time can be such a great kill securing ultimate when you're the targets that you're trying to pick off are running away. You can kill them on the chase, but it's often more importantly used as a way to dissuade attackers from coming in. Something like Lee Sin and Camille, even in Akali, if they go in but are then stunned up by this Renekton or the Silas, it's really easy for the bullet time, especially with that extra Braum peel, to just wipe everybody out as they try to go in. So when you look at Red Canids' composition, I think it's going to have to be a very slow poke from Ezreal in some of these late game team fights, and then the follow-up, the execution with the Akali and the Camille to finish off those targets might be how you have to play this. And there's a little bit of de-synergy, the lack of synergy here between this composition's front line and its back line, I think is really going to be felt, especially when that Misfortune comes online.
Yeah, absolutely. Want to take another moment, guys, if you're watching this super late at night, maybe you're a FC fan, you've been watching all night long. Could be even 7 a.m. for you over there. Thank you for sticking with us through the entire time. To the Brazilian fans and to everybody else out there as well who is joining us, thank you for being with us this entire Best of 5. If you survived the entire day, well, congratulations. That's like even the next level. But yeah, it's going to be an awesome 5th game, and it's going to matter a ton for both of these teams, obviously. So let's see how it does go down as Peace. They're going to say, okay, we've got Braum. Let's get in there level 1 and try to put on some pressure.
Nice dodge on the spear there from Titan, and this is not a fight that you want to take with this setup here as Red Canids. You can't find that angle. A little bit of lack of commitment here, though.
Yeah, Peace are really just, okay, it's going to release, and Red Canids, they're not backing down from the fight. Peace are like, uh-oh, they're calling our bluffs. I don't know if we want to go in on this one, as in goes JoJo. The exhaust goes on to JoJo, and he will go down as he just kept running forward, decided, well, I can't run away, I'll just die, so might as well just try to pull them forward. But that is big for Peace. They don't get the buff, but they still pick up first blood for the Nidalee.
Yeah, it's going to be massive for Bobbip to actually have, once again, a tempo advantage here. The turn was really nice. And as you mentioned, JoJo is kind of a sitting duck once he goes in like that. There's no way out. And unfortunately, this looked like Red Canids kind of got back control. A lot of time is wasted here for Peace. But the flash forward, the greed here to look for the ultimate punish was something that, unfortunately, at level 1, this composition isn't great at pulling off. I mean, Ezreal isn't going to be able to do anything. He's not going to be able to do AoE damage. He's just got his Mystic Shot at this point in time. So there's not a lot of ways for you to actually follow up on that. I think if they had just said, oh, well, we wasted a ton of their time, let's do our red, it would have been a much nicer advantage. The greed was real. If Peace got punished there, would have been a totally different story, but this is not a comp that could punish like that.
Yeah, absolutely. To be fair, Aladoric, he got a little bit greedy himself, looked for the flash follow-up play after they got the kill on the JoJo, amounted to pretty much nothing, but obviously the mistake there from the side of JoJo a little bit more egregious, as now Aegis says, well, I'll just go top lane. I have red buff, and I'm Lee Sin. Let's see what we can do. The stun will be flashed. Vizitachi knows and is taking this seriously, but the damage might not be enough. He gets the double slice and dice, but the stun under the turret gets Aegis so low, and Gigo takes another shot, but Avenger is here, and he's going to be the one that keeps everybody safe, because if he wasn't here, that Nidalee might have just had a feast.
And now Renekton's lost his flash. This was such a close skirmish here, but at the end of the day, nobody falls. Teleport coming back through here from Vizitachi. You imagine the same will be true of Gigo once he does reset that health. There it is. And this is actually really high-level play between these two teams in terms of how they're playing out this early. And we're getting the maximum amount of potential threats here across the map. The rotation was matched there, though, by Peace. And they're able to almost turn that around into an additional kill. And you mentioned this before, it's not an easy lane for the Camille to play into early, but the fact that Baba, who already has that extra kill, the first blood, is going to be able to hover this lane means that it's going to become a little bit more difficult. And this is, of course, a flashless Camille. Not uncommon to see, but that means you're under more threat.
It just means that he just has to be here. And Vizitachi's just backing in the minions. He's like, yeah, I dare you to fight me in the minions. That is not the play. Vizitachi just laughs at them and shuts that one down immediately. Gigo will go down. Here's the stun, the lockdown with the abscond, and Tally will secure it there for the side of Bobby, who does get the kill. And all of a sudden, Peace here, 2,000 gold, 5 minutes into the game, as it is going to be Violet who does have to flash away. Titan looking for a bit more, but they will not be able to secure the kill. Peace are getting some huge advantages. Now we have a teleport. This is just really getting out of control. They're trying to get onto Titan, and they will, as Peace will get the one, but here's the follow-up from Avenger, as Aladoric is getting in here. We got Bobip over here as well. No heal is going to come through, so Violet will go down, but Avenger is going to give his life over as well. And again, that's just more kills under the belt of Peace.
I mean, you're not even really getting that much of a consolation prize here, unfortunately, as Red Cannons. Yeah, you get a kill as Avenger here, but it's your second death when you do go down. You don't have teleport to return to lane. You don't have your teleport in general now, so that's a huge tool burned for very little gain. And now we're looking at a massive gold lead before we're really even starting to have a conversation about objectives. You watch this fight start off, and Violet is very happy to walk away. Yes, he didn't have cleanse, so I could see the idea here. You are, a lockdown champion as a support here as the Leona. As Tally just comes in here and says, no, you don't exist. And even with Avenger coming through, you're just outnumbered right now. You've got to realize...
He's level 4 at Kali.
Yeah.
He can get the one, but then he's just sitting down.
You've got to realize that there's a lot of power in just saying, well, the enemy mid laner has teleported bottom, so what can I gain in my lane instead? Without utilizing my teleport, keeping that teleport advantage. Just seeing blood in the water. I mean, it's game 5. Nerves coming through, I think, a little bit here for Red Cans, and there have been a team that have found in this best of 5 and in this group the most success with these early game exchanges. So far, it's not working out this time, though.
Yeah, would have to agree, as now Gigo's in a lot of trouble. He doesn't have flash, and there's the stun once again, and just an auto attack to get it done. As maybe he was trying to bait for Aegis to come up here, as he misses the Q, and the heal comes through, and Vizitachi is still alive. In the minions, picks up another kill, and Peace, this time around, they are getting the revenge for game 4.
I mean, he's got a Phage and a refillable potion, too. He's already back up at half health after that heal coming through from the minions, and there's just no win. And it feels like, Valdez, this has been, this is such a different series from our last series that we had. It feels like a million years ago now. But in the last series we had that went to game 5, it was back and forth. We had a lot of leads for Beyond Gaming, some comebacks, right? But in this series, every single game of the 5 has felt so extremely one-sided, and it's all been about that early game. And this of the 5 has been the most one-sided. This of the 5 has felt like the one that I mean, you've already got a 3,000 gold lead before we're crossing the 8-minute mark.
It's a little bit egregious at this point. It's very true.
And if the pattern holds true here, it's not a good look, unfortunately, for Red Cannons, who just so heavily committed, so heavily doubled down on that level 1 fight, so heavily doubled down on that teleport fight in the bottom side of the map.
Camille's going to struggle, already finding herself basically at half of the CS of Vizicachi here. Vizicachi, excuse me. And I'm starting to wonder if the walls are closing in here because I was so confident going into this final game. You could see it on their faces, but it's all slipping through their fingers now.
You know, you mentioned nerves, and it's a different type of nerves. It's not the one where you cower and you're afraid to make plays and you're not doing it. It's almost like I got to be the guy that makes the big play that wins us the game, and it feels like everybody's got this, like everybody's on edge. Even the side of Peace. I mean, we saw it even in the level 1 out of Valador. He's like, okay, I really want to get this follow-up. When actually you could have just held on to your last one and stuff like that. It felt like Red Canis, they were really just like, I'm going to make the play. I'm going to save my teammate. Let's do this. When actually, as you mentioned, some passivity may have, in fact, helped them. Interesting in some of those instances. So we'll have to wait and see how this one develops. Obviously, Peace have a gigantic lead at this point in time. Vizicachi's getting free plates. Peace are getting the free Rift Herald. There's nothing that Red can do about that one. The bottom lane's not pushing any turrets. That's not happening anytime soon here with the Ezreal especially. And so Peace, they can probably take this first blood turret up in the top side too if they would like. I want to force it quickly.
It's insane how much they're getting because Ezreal wasn't in bot, so Titan is just now showing up to get that wave, so there's nothing lost there. Violet was pushing mid, so they get a Rift Herald and top pressure while losing nothing bottom. This wave is going to crash into the bottom turret just as Violet gets back to catch it. So, I mean, talk about getting all the gold that is available on the map. It's like they missed almost 0. And this is just really good play from ahead. It's about as standard as it gets. You've got to be so careful, too, now as Gigo, because you can't just sit back and try to farm. You'll get dove under turret. You need that little bit of pressure in the wave. You need to try to be up there farming, but if you don't know where Bob is, you could die anytime, instantly. You don't want to give this guy further lead.
Yeah, he might just die to the Renekton. I mean, we already saw that once as well. He's down 2 levels. He's trying to get vision. As you can see, he's coming down here. He's like, well, I gotta clear out this control ward, otherwise Babbitt can just come on in here. And that's going to be a good ward over the top there that does see Babbitt, but at the same time, Gigo can't do much because he can't approach the wave. It means he loses all of this gold. He picks up a tiny bit of XP, and Babbitt might just even hold on to this Rift Herald. You don't have to throw it down here. You're so far ahead. You can just hold on to it, get a lot of value. There's still 3.5 minutes for plates. And just throw it down in another lane, or wait until a little bit later to put it in.
Yeah, you could drop it mid. I mean, how quickly can we get inner turret gold? I mean, I don't think you want to waste that on that second turret at this stage, but they force a rotation up here from Aegis.
Yeah.
And again, the bottom side of the map so heavily controlled as well. I mean, we've been putting all the focus here because Gigo just can't play the game, but plates are going down here as well as Titan's left by the wayside. As a Leona tries to help stave the pressure mid, Avenger fell behind too, and this story, I hate to say it, doesn't seem like it has a happy ending if you're a Brazilian fan watching this one, and it's been so back and forth this series. As at 11 minutes into the game, we do get that MasterCard Mythic purchase. Going to be the Rocket Bell once again here for Bobbin.
He gets that so early on.
The Everfrost coming through here too for Tally. Like,
yeah. He got the first blood for the Nidalee, so this Nidalee just as bad as anybody else at this point in time. And there's this Rift Herald that he held on to. He's going to save that for the bottom tier 1. That is almost definitely going to go down. We do have a bit of a rotation, but he just is trying to stave off like 5 people's lanes right now. And there's not even that many lanes. Like, he's trying to be literally everywhere. It's like, okay, I have to help Camille, who can get dived at any point. The Rift Herald's going down in the bottom lane. Gigo might just die here. Doesn't look like he has the hook shot, but actually Vizicachi did take a lot of damage. Just the flash comes over the wall. It's a lot of respect shown by Vizicachi. Just saying, I don't have to take the risk. We kind of messed up the dive. That's okay. We pushed her off of the wave, and we're probably still going to get the turret anyway.
I really like the choice to drop the Rift Herald bottom, too, because you're already guaranteed this top turret, no matter what. Yep. It's going to be first turret going over to Vizicachi here. You get the bottom turret with it in moments' time, and then you could just squat Violet mid. He's going to always be safe because you have so much map control. Then Tally can go to the bottom side and side lane, and who can stop him? Who can even consider stopping him? Even if you put 3 people down there to try to kill Tally, he could just Everfrost and get away. He's going to be fine in almost every scenario. So now you could just put him on the bottom side. You can put Violet mid. He could just continue to farm. And you just kind of do objectives on cooldown. Every time there's a Drake up, every time there's a Herald up, you're just going to take it and slowly choke Red Canids out of the game.
Yeah. I'm taking a look at some of the players on the side of Red Cannons. It doesn't feel like they've given up, right? I mean, it's still a Game 5. Anything can happen. You know, I struggle to say that. Obviously, everybody kind of knows in this position. It is very obvious just how far ahead Peace are. But at the same time, they don't look defeated, which I feel like is at least good. They say, okay, well, we still have a game to play. Peace could make some mistakes. Let's see what we got here. And
yeah, I mean, you and I are definitely very much the cup is half full tonight in terms of some of the games we've cast, because we have had so many one-sided games in this series, and you know, this is one of those games that you never want to be in a Game 5 like this, where this is where you want to show how much grit you have. This is where you want to prove that you could come back from anything, you could do anything. And I mean, you've got 2 hands tied behind your back, and you've got a chain attached to one of your feet. Like, that's the situation that Red Cans are going to have to come through. This may be the most famous play-ins game of all time if Red Cans can come back from this.
I was going to say, I'm like, we've seen stomps before, Wolf. I don't know about that, but
yeah, if they can come back.
Twist there at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we'll have to wait and see how it happens if it does. But at this point in time, we will just have to wait on that one.
We're still consulting with the script writers, you know, about how they come back from this one.
Somebody get last script on the phone. He might know what to do. He's got the final one. And yeah, I mean, at this point, for the side of Red Can, it's like the what's the name of this item? It's been a long night. The one the Lee Sin just got.
The Leeching Leer? Oh, the Lee Sin Core Drinker, yes.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, only the most OP and famous item right now. Yeah, it's been that kind of night. Yeah, he got it first before Camille was even close to her Mythic. He has more CS than his top laner.
Yeah, he has 7,000 or 700 more gold than she has in general in lane. And everybody else is starting to collect their items. I mean, Peace has the full set, outside, of course, of Aladoric.
Okay, let's see how this one goes. It is going to be a 3-on-1 while Peace are pushing mid. A teleport comes in to make it 4-on-1. Well, that's just not fair. A stopwatch is used to buy even more time. Vizichachi will finally die. Big rotation comes down here for the side of Red Cannons. As now we're just diving Titan. A ton of damages coming in. He lands that Abscon, and down will go the Ezreal. Diving in between the 2 turrets at this point in time, knowing that everybody else was on the bottom side of the map.
And Bob can just self-heal to get out of there, and that's a turret and a kill for a 4-man collapse on the Renekton. So small prizes here. Consolation prize, I think, doesn't even do justice. The amount of, I mean, the lack of, I don't know, words are hard. It's 5 a.m. but it's not an equivalent exchange, okay? Yes. We'll make the anime reference. Because for Red Cannons here, the amount of resources you need to even kill one side laner is never going to be worth it. But if you don't go for it, if you don't look for that pick, if you don't hope that Peace make a mistake on the rotation, or you catch him sleeping on that, or maybe somebody rotates in and it's a 4v2 to get both of those kills. If you can't even do that, I mean, you might as well type /FF in the chat. We don't do that. So, yeah. I mean,